went to the BFI last month to see Stanley Kubrick's 1968 epic 2001 The Space Odyssey. And despite being 50 years old and its cinema run being lengthened, this screen was packed. To this day, 2001 puzzles audiences and remains a mystery in a film that can only be described as an art. Subtle, overarching, surreal, all-encompassing art. Okay, I'm getting carried away. Time to explore some themes and share some notes I picked up from my viewing. Sit back and enjoy! Like every approach to this film, you should by no means take my word for fact. My interpretation is simply just that. As for a film concerning itself indirectly with God, infinity, and questions, this is a film with very few answers. This is fitting, as the major threat and heart of the film lies in the black monolith, which is the metaphor for the unknown, rather than the iconic and villainous HAL 9000, like everybody seems to think. Whilst an interesting character, his presence is surprisingly small and his role is secondary in the film. The fear of the unknown and the incomprehensible elements of this world are equally reflected by the ambiguous nature of the ending. The final 20 minutes of this film often seems to elude critics and theorists, and it sometimes is entirely left out. This is a mistake. With such an open ending with so few questions left unanswered, we as an audience are included and reminded of their own futility to things beyond their own comprehension. This strange conclusion has often been explained as being intentional. Director Stanley Kubrick states, "You're free to speculate as you wish about the philosophical and allegorical meaning of the film, and such speculation is one indication that it succeeded in gripping the audience at a deep level. But I want to spell out a verbal roadmap for 2001 that every viewer will feel obligated to pursue, or else fear he's missed the point." Both the writer Arthur C. Clarke and Stanley Kubrick decided to leave the film open to philosophical and allegorical interpretation, purposely presenting the film in subtle, ominously silence, and the abstract final sequences of the film without any underlying thread of thematic fulfillment being apparent. The concept finalized by the final frame of the film, of a never-before-established star child. Never mentioned before, never mentioned again. I hate the star child. It heralds no explanation, and it's perfect that way. Although you may think this final scene, having no answers, may also have no logic, it just may. The light tunnel, to me anyway, is a strange 15-minute sequence that never really seems to end. Like the rest of the film, it's technologically impressive, yet trippy and disorientating. Some critics have stated it to be surrealism for the sake of surrealism, but there has to be more there. As explored before in my Clockwork Orange editorial, Kubrick is a perfectionist director, literally manipulating lighting, composition, actors, and Kubrick's staple of a one-point perspective to turn every single shot, every frame into a painting. He's known for his crazed eye for perfection and is infamous for reshoots, days and days spent on just one take, and so I refuse any part of this film is as it is due to just because. As I see it, the tunnel is the idea of infinity. Back during the ape story, connection and acceptance of the unknown, the monolith, is perhaps what elevated ape to man evolution-wise in the first place. It's what made that leap. And so this is what is happening again. Michael's mind is being expanded as he sees images beyond his comprehension and taking him to the next stage of evolution. These events render him paralyzed as the images shown to us show Michael's progressively aging. Ironically enough, it is actually this journey that reverts him to infancy. Being unable to move, speak, or even think, this draws parallels to the apes and to the Star Child at the end. We know this is what happens because although we may have not realized it when watching it, but this is the exact same thing that happens to Hal. As he is unplugged, he clearly states that he can feel it. He can feel his mind growing.
I can feel it. My mind is growing.
And so evidently Hal is undergoing the same vision. even he himself reverting to infancy as his memory is wiped and he returns to factory settings, even singing the first song he was ever taught.
I am a HAL 9000 computer.
Give me your answer.
But even as close to perfection that HAL is, he cannot comprehend it either. Because he is man-made? Possibly. But it could also be something more. Maybe there will never be answers no matter how far evolution technology takes us, and this is what this represents. Another seemingly obvious notion is the fact that the ape story is almost an exact mirror image of the main space plot. The first technological breakthrough of man, followed by the ultimate advancement of man, creating a sentient life form in HAL 9000, achieving perfection. Both stories involve a society of men developing a deadly instrument and then discovering the monolith. Just replace HAL with the Bone Club, and you have the exact same movie. Ironically be made with the differences, yet similarities between man at its dawn and it at its peak of sophistication. For example, the apes react to the monolith much better than the future people of tomorrow, putting real advancement into question. Not to mention that the future mankind's peak of technology is actually leading to them engineering their own predators. Humans' drive for perfection actually involves ridding the world of themselves. The HAL 9000 has often been looked upon with biblical connotations, often being seen to reflect a god. Whilst this film definitely involves the presence of a god, I personally feel personifying this theme entirely in HAL is oversimplifying. I personally see HAL as a god, but only through the viewpoint of an atheist viewing God. Mankind creates God, mankind doubts God, the god becomes vengeful, and then man kills God. It's all there. Kubrick, he's a crazy man. Whilst Kubrick refused to discuss the film and anything more than basic detail, allowing audiences to, delve beneath the surface, he once said in an interview for Rolling Stone magazine that, on the deepest psychological level, the film's plot symbolises the search for God. I will say that the God concept is at the heart of 2001, but not any traditional anthropomorphic image of God. I don't believe in any of Earth's monotheistic religions, but I do believe that one construct, an intriguing scientific definition of God, once you accept the fact that there are approximately 1 billion stars in our galaxy alone. The final viewpoint I picked up in my viewing is the blazant conception allegory. The film exhibits many examples of phallic and conception imagery. The ship is shaped like a penis, the vastness of space can be likened to the womb, and planets line the frame like eggs. This may seem silly, but rethink all of the events that happened in and around the ship, and it accurately depicts the journey from birth to death. The openness this film leaves an audience to explore with can be staggering. Perhaps too staggering for any one analysis to ever do it justice. Nonetheless, 2001 remains a cinematic masterpiece, and likely the ultimate science fiction film. And that's my thoughts on that.